Hey everybody, Caesar Giri Sensei here. You probably haven't seen from me in a while, at least a few months. And the end of year was coming out, and I felt like I should probably send a message, especially considering I haven't really posted too much. Probably I think since August, second half of the year, and I'm sure I'm just like everybody else who is dealing with the things in front of them. So hopefully you understand why I've been a little bit absent. As much as I have my own personality and way of doing things. Obviously, just like everybody else, just like being human in 2020 and dealing with all the craziness going on. My daytime professional things going on, personal, family, stress of everything going on in the news. Um, Things going on in the local market and just everything. I'm sure everybody's gone through the same issues. And even with Aikido going through what we're facing here in Houston is not just an inability to train, but also confidence, in students returning to train and feeling safe. We haven't hit that mark yet, so we haven't been able to, open the dojo. And that's been very difficult. The thing that and specifically me, I'll speak for myself, the thing that I have relied on for quite a while, right? I think we're going on, that was 97, so maybe 23 years of training for myself, and it's been consistently, weekly training, varying from 5, 6 hours to 3 to 4 hours, and finally having that cut off has made an impact on me, right? Definitely brought me down in the doldrums a little bit to say that these things that I'm used to, the kind of quarantine confinement that we're feeling is not a good thing, not for your mental health. And I definitely miss my regular training with Aikido. But that also has been pushing us and pushing me to find other avenues to keep my mental sanity in check, to keep physical fitness training and my health moving forward. And a lot of the stuff I posted over the summertime was very much about how to maintain your training while you're quarantined at home, while you're not able to interact with other people. And I think that avenue is still something that we have to all look at for now until it's safe to return to training, until everybody feels confident to return training. I want to provide and continue to provide the materials that you need to practice at home. So we'll keep providing that content. The YouTube videos I think work well. I know some people are just kind of zoomed out. I think that's the comments that we get a lot from my own students. They have Zoom meetings at work, Zoom meetings with family. They just want a break. And I totally understand that. So what I'm probably going to be doing is eliminating the Zoom stuff on my material, and just do content provided for people, for you to view as a video, and you can follow along, or you can view it as more of like an quick instruction material, so then you can practice on your own at your house. Whatever you want to do with it, go ahead and use it. I'm providing it there on YouTube. Take it, share it if you can. I'd appreciate it so we can get more subscribers. But it's out there, and I feel like it's probably still the best way to train right now in martial arts. Specifically, empty hand training. There's weapons. You can always practice your kata, your suburi, for the Boken and Jo, but also empty hand, I think, is just as important. So maintaining your abilities to do striking, rolling, um, taisabaki, ground drills. I do have some videos that takes you from A to Z on those things. Maintain those skills. I think it's absolutely very important to maintain those skills Right now maybe you're not having to drill in the amount of hours that you're doing in training, but I think there should be some level of maintenance, right? At least I would say an hour, you know, an hour or two of your own training a week, if you can make time. That would be a great way to not lose all your skills and lose all that physical training that you've put in for years. It's very easy to lose, right? It's very easy to, Aikido and martial arts in general is a skill that you acquire, and you have to keep practicing it, and you have to keep improving on it to get better, right? So this idea that, hey, I got my black belt, you know, 5 years ago and I'm done and I know Aikido still. That's not that kind of innate type of thing, right? Even punching, right? Even punching, even though it's really intrinsic, really kind of instinctual, you still need to learn and to continue learning and practicing your strikes. That's how you maintain your sharpness. So hopefully you're out there practicing some type of training on your own. The other part I think that I've realized, going through 2020 is the layer beneath martial art, right? I think something almost even more important than martial art. But not to say that you don't need martial arts. I think everybody does. I think it's a great tool to use to help help you develop personally, help your mind and body type of thing. But beneath that, I think the pillars that hold up martial art is both physical and mental health. And that is something that you can do on your own, that you can do at the house. Or, whether it was pre-2020 or post 2020, it's something that I'm realizing that I think every martial artist, every Aikidoka should be maintaining on a regular basis. And that's your physical fitness and your mental health, right? And then also, physical fitness also includes a healthy diet, right? I think, including myself, I'm totally guilty of this, so I'm not throwing shade at anybody. But, I've definitely, gone through many phases in my life where I kind of put my nutrition and what I put in my mouth. Let it fall to the wayside, and I was just kind of eating whatever, right? And the belly's growing and all that stuff, and then you try to get on the mat, and it's really difficult to roll, difficult to breathe, all those things. So it's not just a look like you have to have a six pack. Yeah, that's not the focus for most people. I think here what we're looking at is definitely targeting on your nutrition, what you put in your mouth, and then how does that translate to your physical fitness, and how does that train to your martial art training? And it's something that I've definitely was eye-opening for me, especially in 2020. I think the first half of the year was, me kind of falling into the stress and, stress eating very terribly, increasing the amount of calories I was taking in, and obviously gaining weight. And that had a slew of both physical and mental impacts on me. Not just the physical outwards of how I look, but also internally, right? If you think about, cholesterol levels, blood pressure, blood sugar levels, right? All those things that are the internal wiring, your internal health, that we also have to be aware of before we even get on the mat, because all of these are determinants of, you know, how, how well are we able to train. And I think it's something I definitely, as when I was younger training, I definitely did not take seriously, or maybe I took for granted because I was young and healthy, and I could just eat, consume, whatever calories, and I would be okay. But if I think about back then, it's like maybe I was sluggish on the mat in the morning after a night of drinking, or we went and had a nice big lunch, and now I'm just like super bloated, for training. And that's just regular seminar training or something like that. But if you think about your day-to-day living, all those things that we do, things like alcohol, things like fatty foods, whatever it is, those things do impact how we feel, and they impact our motivation to get up and work out and be healthy and practice our martial art training and everything like that. So it is kind of, I'm viewing it very much in that vein of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm old, my academic training is in psychology, so I always relate that to mostly everything. But if you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the fundamental needs of shelter and food, and security, are those base foundations that all people want to have before they move to these other things like spirituality and personal development. You want to make sure that you cover this ability to have shelter, that you feel safe and secure in your home, and that you have food on your table, and all that stuff is base, right? And then you can talk about healthier habits, personal health, maybe seeking out some philosophy or spirituality. All that stuff lies on top of that. But if you don't have those bottom things, those base layer things, you're not going to care about all these other things, right? You're just going to say, hey, I'm just trying to survive. And I think 2020 really showed, emphasized that for me, was that, I think definitely I was very much in a survival mode. Like, I'm just gonna eat, as much calories as I can, do what I can, not a big deal. But now the second half, I've really taken a good introspection on this, and realized that, hey, I'm in a pretty, I'm very fortunate to be in a very secure environment. Like, I'm at my home quarantining and I'm able to work from home. And this is probably the most control I'm going to have over my environment for until we all go back to work, and whoever knows how long that's going to be. But now I have the ability to control the variables, a lot better than I did before, meaning I'm not going to be tempted to go out to a restaurant or go out to a bar, or whatever it is in our daily lives. I have the most amount of control, and I need to make the best of it. And that's kind of, what I've been really focusing on, in the second half, and maybe that's kind of why I stepped away, was I was realizing I need to retool myself. And for me, that meant, like I said, fundamentals before I even talk about martial arts, right? Healthy eating, and I'm talking about, like, things that things that are healthy, things that make you feel good. Getting rid of alcohol, or not getting rid of alcohol. I'm not like, straight edge or anything like that. But let's say, a happy hour, maybe I was doing, like, 2 or 3 days of a happy hour. Now I'm down to just a Saturday where I go 2 drinks, right? And then, pretty much for the week, Sunday through Friday, I'm doing calorie control. I reduced the amount of calories I'm taking in, and that really helped, kind of manage and regulate, diet for me. And then obviously I'm choosing to do healthier foods, some nutrient dense shakes, prepackaged, meals, and then dinner we do something nice, like, um, a chicken and vegetables with a cup of rice or something like that. So I've been able to really hone in on my diet and go, what works for me, what are my goals, and then obviously, everybody, there's a kind of a blood biological makeup, in the sense that what reacts well with our bodies and what doesn't react well, right? One of the things I learned the hard way, is that red meat and beef is I don't react well to it, in high amounts. I kind of have a family history of high cholesterol, and that's something I have never, factored in. But I think 2020 really kicked in some of those, diet issues, and now I have to put a lot more attention to it. So, red meat for me is like, I love cooking steak. I have a slow cooker, I have a sous vide kit. I love, cooking steaks, ribs, all that stuff like that. But, it's gonna kill me if I don't manage it. So I think now what I've done is, now during the week I'm cooking clean, eating clean, chicken, fish, turkey, that type of thing, Sunday through Friday. And then Saturday is kind of like my treat, where I do cook myself a steak or ribs or something like that. And being able to manage it that way, where, 90% of my behavior is healthier, I've been able to do it and still go out there and have a little bit, of enjoyment, a steak and a whiskey. That's my preferred choice is bourbon. But, go out there, enjoy a glass or two, enjoy a cut of meat, and not go overboard about it. So I think this is in terms of my own personal journey. This is something that I've been, going over and realizing like I need to retool and really hone in on healthy eating habits. If I want to make sure I'm healthy moving into my 40s, but also um, that is another key factor in me being able to keep doing martial arts and Aikido. Because if I'm overweight, if I can't move, if I'm bloated, if I'm putting pressure on my knees because of all the weight I'm bearing, etc., then it's really going to severely limit the ability for me to practice Aikido and martial arts. So it's really, really crucial, and it's something again, um, something that maybe I probably took more for granted before, and I'm really getting pushed into that direction more to be like, you need to, right? You're not in the you should eat healthy. You're now in the you need to eat healthy, right? Otherwise, there's going to be consequences to your habits. So now I'm kind of pushed in that direction. But I would say my suggestion for anybody out there is that if you're kind of struggling with the same thing, I know there's plenty of my students that are already very clean eaters, and I think that's great. Maintain that. Um, but there are also other people who kind of view it as I'm just putting food in my mouth to make sure I can keep going type of thing. And I think it is really important that you take a good look about what you're eating and how much you're eating, and how that impacts your health, and very specifically how much it impacts your attitude, your mental health, and how to modify that and make sure that we are eating healthy so we can sustain our lives and being able to train in Aikido. And I think more importantly in 2020, considering the coronavirus and how easily it spreads and, severity of impacts it has on people who have pre-existing conditions, it's really important that we maintain our health to make sure that we don't get our butts kicked by coronavirus, or the worst is, we are unable to work through the severity of it and die. So I think healthy eating and a healthy living is definitely on the spotlight in 2020 as we face this pandemic that's going on, and we're not able to train and get as much physical fitness as we normally do. It's very important that you essentially scale back the intake, right? How much you're eating, right? Maybe before you were doing plenty of training and going out and walking and going from here to there, like you had a busy life where you were burning through more calories. But now that our lives are a little bit more sedentary, you also need to scale that back and say, hey, maybe I'm eating, maybe I'm taking too much food in. I need to cut down. And this is something, this is for me what I was doing, right? I was at a 2,400 calorie intake, because I do martial arts, I do physical fitness, I do plenty of other things. I do a lot of activity, and my goal essentially at the beginning of the year was I'm going to bulk up a little bit, right? I'm going to be a little bit more muscular. And then I just kind of realized it kind of wreaked havoc on my body, so I scaled back my calories. I went down to 1,800 calories, focusing on lean meats, vegetables, trying to fill myself up with good nutrients, vitamins, especially now in 2020, right? I'm making sure I take my daily vitamins in the morning. I have a nutrient dense shake I take called Shakeology. It's not a promotion. I'm just saying that's what I take. And I've been able to maintain a better healthy living, especially considering 2020. It has really helped me out. And so sorry if I don't mean to go too long on that one, but I think, I think a lot of both friends and colleagues, and people have told us, I'm sure too, for years, right? That, good healthy eating is 90% of health. And the physical fitness is there to make sure you have functionality, but the clean eating is definitely very important, especially now considering coronavirus. I mean, you don't want, your high fats and high blood sugar and all that stuff to knock you on your butt when you get coronavirus, right? You want to be in the best condition as you can be, because if you don't know, but I had coronavirus in November, the beginning of November. Got it from my wife, who got it from work, and it was seemingly normal for a while, and then I think day 7, day 8, I started having respiratory issues, and we had questions about whether I should go to the ER, and all those things, went through my mind of, why is this happening to me? I exercise, I've been eating clean, like why is it killing me? Why not killing me? Sorry, but why is it really just bringing me to my knees here? And, I don't think we have a full answer, but I mean, there's plenty of cases of, perfectly healthy people who have died from coronavirus. And then likewise, people who have pre-existing conditions who have died from coronavirus. And I think it's really important to realize, like, hey, we don't know how you're going to react when you get coronavirus. So I think the idea is like be on your best behavior if it does happen to you, and survive that, right? And I will say the key is, to rest and to not, do as much activity if you do get coronavirus. Rest, recover, stay in your bed, don't move around, drink lots of fluids, drink lots of liquids, vitamins, manage your symptoms with over-the-counter medicine, right? If you're having breathing issues, um, take a Flonase, or take I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving you specifics, but it's just like if you have breathing issues, get something over the counter to help regulate manage your breathing, Vicks Vapor Rub or something. If you have a headache, if you have fever, manage those things as much as possible, and don't wait, don't hesitate. As soon as you start feeling those symptoms, attack them right away, because they do build and they can creep up on you. So, just word of the wise, is, uh, you know, be as healthy as you can, and then when it happens, attack it, as much as you can. Rest, do everything that the doctors and the CDC have advised, and hopefully, God willing, you make it through. Anyway, so then going on the other part, that I realized fundamentally, the core of our training before we even get on the mat, before we even start practicing our punches or rolls or anything like that, is the nutrition. Make sure you're feeding yourself properly, making sure you're not, kind of creating your own problems or difficulties once you finally get on the mat. But also the other part is physical fitness. I think, I think there's kind of a my observation, not I can't blanket, but I think there's my observation about martial art and Aikido, is that sometimes maybe the physical fitness before we even step on the mat is a little bit de-emphasized. And what I mean by that is, fundamentals of cardio, resistance training, and flexibility, right? Um, being able to move your arm as much as you can, to be able to lift or push things, and then your endurance, right? That you'll be able to move fast, or move consistently without getting winded. And I think these things, I'm realizing that these are really fundamental to Aikido and martial arts, right? That you need to make sure that you have some muscular capability to push or pull, or just lift your leg, right? To push off from your leg, to swing a weapon, that's going to take muscle, right? It's going to take strength to grip, to grab, to move and swing your arms. All this takes physical energy. And to make sure that you have that capability, before you get on the mat is very important, and not just to martial art, but to your own physical health, right? You need to make sure that you have some form of resistance training. It could be weight training. It can be a workout program that has weights, whatever it is, but you definitely need to maintain the muscle capability, especially as you get older, right? You lose a lot of that. So you want to make sure you maintain or keep as much as you can. The push and pull aspect, pulling up, pushing above our shoulders, our backs, right? Making sure we have the back muscles to support, throwing down to the ground, lifting back up, all those things. And then you even get down to the legs, right? Making sure that we can squat, making sure that we can lunge, and hold weight while we're doing that. If you think about how you throw somebody, you're throwing down, and as you lean over, you're going to start using back muscles to prop up your body. And then if that person's pulling you down, or you end up going down to the ground, you're going to have to start using your muscles. It's almost like a top down, right? With Aikido, at first maybe you're using your upper body strength, and then you start using your core and ab strength as you're coming down. And then as soon as you hit the floor, you're using all your leg muscles. So the idea is not just that you have the physical capability to do that, but then also the cardio, right? Find a good cardio program that you like. I have an Apple TV back there. I do Beachbody TV, and I love it because I can work out from home. But there's tons of different cardio workouts. There's like a kickboxing workout, an MMA workout. There's a jump rope. There's one that does like uh, pure bari, dance movements with yoga. There's so much out there. So find something that you enjoy, that is going to challenge you on your cardio, and make sure you maintain your cardio. And I think very, very much in 2020, considering coronavirus as a respiratory infection or a respiratory virus, you really want to hone in on the cardio and make sure you have the breathing capability, the lung capability, to manage while and if you get sick. Swimming, right? Try swimming if you can. If you have a gym or anything like that that's open that allows you to privately swim, with social distancing. Swimming is a great thing to practice. So, anyways, the idea is find something that's going to maintain. I view it as three things, right? Resistance training, just making sure the push and pull of a muscle, endurance and cardio, just the power within the legs, breathing. And then the other aspect for me is flexibility. So making sure that your body has the other side of that, which is recovery, stretching out the muscles, fluid movement, making sure that you can move nice and relaxed and that you have full mobility. Stretching and flexibility is absolutely very important. So I kind of view it as those are the three cornerstones of physical fitness: resistance training, cardio and endurance, and then flexibility. And flexibility can be anything, right? It can be, a 30-minute session of stretching. It can be yoga. It can be a lot of things. So just make sure you add that in there. I would say at least once or twice a week. For me, um, I just finished a full strength training course. So it was like 6 days of strength training and 1 day of stretch and recovery. So 7 days of workout. But within the strength training, uh, program, you're keeping a high rep, high movement activity, so your heart rate is always up. And then also you do jump rope in between sets. So it was a really cool, like you're doing strength training, but you're also doing cardio because you're maintaining a high heartbeat level and you're just constantly moving. And in between sets, you're doing jump rope, and that type of thing. So it was a really awesome combination. It was another workout from Beachbody called MBF, Muscle Burns Fat. And that's something I really lean to. Is I'm a big fan of strength training. Cardio is kind of like my weakness. Um, not the thing that I like the least, I would say. So I love, lifting and pushing and doing that resistance training. And then, I think because I'm not a big fan of cardio, meaning like I don't like to do a lot of it. I like these workouts where it, weaves in cardio moments, kind of little like short spurts of cardio, like jump rope. I didn't realize how much I like jump rope. I was like, hey, I can do this. I can jump rope for about a minute. I can keep my heart rate up by constantly moving with weights. Anyways, so I've learned to find a physical activity that I really like. And I think at the core, I think every martial artist should maintain some type of nutritional program, and some type of physical fitness program. And like I said, I think that core of that is going to be resistance training, cardio, and flexibility, some combination of those, and finding it in your own way, whatever you like. And then the other side of that is nutrition, finding a healthy eating lifestyle that fits not just your habits in your life, but also understanding what how it makes you feel, how you get a physical reaction to it, but also I think more importantly is internally, right? How is it impacting your cholesterol? How is it impacting your blood sugar level? All those things is like some of the things you have to realize as you start getting older is like not only do I have to manage not just the general intake and the general fitness, but I also have to look at those activities and I got to look at what I put in my mouth and how it influences and how it impacts me. So it's adding a different layer, especially for me getting moving into my 40s now. It's like, oh, everything, every bad habit that I've done is now, it's now going to hurt me more than it is going to feel good, right? So now I've got to really manage those behaviors a lot better than I did before. Luckily, I've done pretty good so far. I think I've lost about 15 pounds since August. And then obviously the internal stuff is like cholesterol's down, blood sugar's down, um, blood pressure, all that stuff. So I'm moving in the right direction. It just took a little bit of a push to get me there and go, okay, I need to really hone in on this. So, generally I would say, getting out of the 2020 has really made me realize that, I need to put more focus on the fundamentals, and less on just being busy, less on these extra things, um, and and that includes my martial art training. And I think from a personal level, it's for me, it's hey, I live in the metropolitan area of Houston, so it's really easy to just be busy constantly, right? Go to this event or that event, join this networking group, et cetera, et cetera. It's like very easy to add all these layers of activity. And I think 2020 has really helped me hone in on what's important, right? And I realized the important things in my life are my personal health, my loved ones, my wife, and my dogs. That's who's in my household, and then my family and close friends. That's my circle of people I need to really care about. I need to put more attention to, and I have, thankfully. It was actually a good thing with my wife. We're both very busy people before 2020, and we kind of both said the same thing that we didn't realize, that we were not spending as much time with each other as we should have. And 2020, I think, we were really lucky to work well together. I know some relationships are just in the fritz right now because of everything, and I understand that, right? There's plenty of moments where we were at each other's throats, but I think at the end of the day, it's like, it's really great to have somebody in your corner, as your partner to help you get through these things, and work well and work with each other and have that, mutual cooperation. I'm very grateful for my wife in 2020. And then obviously my dogs. My dogs have been great social, mental, therapists for me, giving me plenty of love and attention, and just not even caring about what's going on in the world, and just focusing on are we spending enough time? Is Caesar spending enough time with them? Am I playing with them? Am I taking care of them? That's all they care about. And it's really, I think 2020, as scary as it has been, and unfortunately as it, basically has pretty much shut down the dojo, there are plenty of things to be grateful for, and that I still have a profession, that I can still work from home, that me and my wife are healthy, and that we survived coronavirus, and that we are fundamentally okay, and that even though we can't train our dojo, that's okay. We can put this down for a bit and wait till the right moment. And I think specifically with my students who don't feel comfortable quite yet, adding those things to their lives, I completely understand. Um, you know, the training that we have with each other, the weekly training that we have, it was a gift, and I really appreciate it. And even all those arguments and discussions about efficacy in Aikido and why isn't it as practical as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or whatever, it's like honestly at this point I don't care, right? I just miss training, training in the fundamentals, right? Taisabaki, Aiki Taiso, Kihon Waza. Like I just miss the basics of training Aikido. And whatever reasons I have, it's like who cares what the reasons were, right? If it was self-defense reasons or, personal development reasons or, I just like it. And those all are all valid reasons, right? All those, and unfortunately, you had to realize that with 2020, where nobody could train with each other, and it's like, honestly, every valid reason is now, swept away because we can't train. So it definitely gave me a new appreciation for what Aikido is, what it's about, where we're going to go once we finally open back up, and what we're going to emphasize, especially for me. I think now looking at this, I'm definitely considering, what type of curriculum, what type of lifestyle, what type of message am I going to deliver for people who train with us. At Houston Aikido Foundation. Is it just about Aikido? Is it just about physical movement? Is there no spiritual depth? Is there no personal development depth? Is there no health and fitness goals? I'm rethinking all these things and going, you know what? If Aikido is a really holistic approach to the individual, why am I not including guidelines? Not guidelines, but I don't know, suggestions. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be, but it's like I'm realizing that nutrition and personal fitness are very key before you even get on the mat. So how do we include that? How do we message that to students and let them know, hey, before you even get on the mat, these are the things that you really need to take care of. And if you think about it, there's plenty of schools like karate and taekwondo, traditional martial arts, and BJJ schools, I'm sure, where that the students, especially the K through 12 students, have to be making I don't know, it's like all A's or all B's or something like that to keep training, right? And if they get a C in a class or if they fail a class, they can't train until they get that C up. There's plenty of schools that do that. So maybe we need something like that for adults. Maybe we need to say, not that we're going to measure people's weights or anything like that, but maybe kind of the adult version is to say, you know, not only do we need a goal in Aikido of where we want to be and what we're going to do to get there, but maybe we also need to look at nutritional and personal fitness goals and say, what are we doing to live a healthy lifestyle, you know, and track that path. Um, and not just, eating and eating healthy and exercising, but maybe we need to have a spiritual component. It doesn't have to be um, religious, but maybe we need to start looking at embedding meditation, embedding some type of pathway to spiritual growth. I think if I think about the founder of Aikido, he wasn't in Zen, I don't believe. I think his big thing was the Shinto religion, right? Or Omoto Kyo, I think, is the specific group that he was following, and he was heavily impacted by his religion. So O Sensei, the founder of Aikido, was a religious person, and he was heavily influenced by that. So, how could that not impact our training? How could that not impact our viewpoint? So, again, maybe we don't have to, seek a pathway to a religious avenue, but maybe there is some type of internal growth about understanding ourselves, and let's start there. A lot of things to think about, but 2020 has really made me think about those things, about what is fundamentally important. You know, if I think about Aikido, it's the same way. What's really fundamentally important in Aikido? Is it the structure? Is it a technique that we want to maintain, or is it a message, or is it a way of life? Is it what is it that Aikido brings value to in the world? And if that is the thing that we want to uphold, then we need to gear ourselves to that direction, you know, and maybe not get weighted down by every single thing, right? Like Aikido has to have a specific look and feel, has a structure that I cannot break, that I can never change, right? If this is our goal, it's almost like a for me, it's I relate it to business, right? If I have a business and I have a mission, and the business model that I'm using is not working, then obviously the most important part is the mission, right? Is the goal of the business. So if I need to remodify the structure of my business to make sure that I can maintain the business goals, then I should have the flexibility to do that, right? I should be able to look at that and go, I need to pivot, I need to change, and I need to grow, I need to evolve to make sure I can still maintain these goals, and I feel like these goals are important. Then we should feel totally comfortable and not afraid to change the things that we need to change. And I look at that exactly the same way as I looked at my nutrition, as I looked at my personal fitness goals. Um, you know, if I need to live a healthier lifestyle, to make sure I don't die from coronavirus, or make sure I'm not overweight, and make sure I can still continue to practice Aikido physically, then I need to make the changes um, that I need to do to get me on the right path. And I look at Aikido as the same way, right? Aikido to me is not a structure, right? It's not, um, it's not, I don't know I don't know how to say it, but it's like the structure itself is not Aikido, right? It's the goal, right? It's the philosophy. It's the way of looking at things, and it's a way of life. And that to me is the most important, right? Not the structure itself. The structure is there just to guide us to that. So if we need to modify the structure, if we need to change the way we train on a daily basis, then you as an instructor, you as a student have a total right to look at that and question those things and go, this is working or this is not working. Or if you have a solution, say, this works better and we're going to do this. So I think for me as a the head of my dojo, the head of my own studio, I need to look at that and go, this is where we need to go. Kind of view it as as for me, I view a dojo cho as a head instructor, as somebody who's trying to guide other people. I'm not too much of like I don't see myself as like a guru or a sensei type of thing. Like I'm infallible or I'm unquestionable. I enjoy being challenged, and I just view myself as hey, I'm setting up the environment, and I'm guiding you guys through the rungs of training that I went through to help you get to where I am. And I want you to be my peer. I want you to be a colleague of mine, in the journey of martial arts. And plenty of my own black belts are like that. I view them as my peers with their own opinions and their own insights, and I want them to share that. And I'd love to take and glean anything I can from them as well. So, anyways, once we get back to all that, we'll see a lot of that stuff back. But I think 2020 has really helped me look again at what is fundamental, what is most important. And if we go back to our regular lives after coronavirus pandemic has passed through, am I going to maintain those fundamentals, or am I going to forget them? And I want to make sure we don't forget them. So for me as an instructor, I'm looking at that. How do I embed those fundamentals that I learned this year, um, both in physical and mental health, but also in terms of what's most important in martial art training? And let's hone in on that. Let's build from that. So, anyways, I wanted to send a message, kind of rattled off some of the things that are going on in my mind and what I've been going through. But I do want to say that I hope everybody is surviving. and hopefully you're thriving in this environment, um, making best with what you can do. I think honestly that's for me also core on the Aikido philosophy is viewing conflict in a positive way, right? What can we learn from this? How can we make this work for everybody? And finding the best avenues for that, I think is obviously at the core of Aikido, and we're seeing that, right? Aikido is all about volunteer cooperation, and we're looking at that going, can what can we voluntarily cooperate with? And what honestly is forced cooperation, and look at that and go, maybe that's going to develop some bad fruit there, maybe we need to be a little bit more persuasive. Maybe we need to offer an environment where people willingly, contribute to the whole. And how do we do that? I won't dive too much deep into that political philosophy, but I think Aikido ultimately, what I view now is how are we taking our Aikido training and how do we apply it to life, right? Once we get off the mats, how are we doing that, right? Are we, are we promoting cooperation, voluntarily cooperation, with our relationships, with our profession, with our society? How does that look like? So, anyways, I want to end off by saying happy holidays and happy new year. We are still here. We survived it, and hopefully, you thrived in it, meaning you found some way to grow personally. It doesn't have to be financially or anything like that, but hopefully you found some growth, some learning, that maybe we didn't see before, and hopefully that will make it um, worth the struggle that we went through. I know there's plenty of people that I know, that have passed away because of coronavirus. A lot of people that have lost their jobs. A lot of people struggling through mental health issues. So don't be afraid to reach out to those people. Right, now we are, you know, um, all kind of isolating, and it's very important more than now to reach out to people, um, and connect with them, right? Just like Aikido, right? We put a hand out and we connect. And I think for me, I view that, from not just the literal sense, but kind of in my own life, is I need to reach out and connect with other people, even if they're not reaching out to me, right? Maybe just put my hand out and see if they're willing to, reach out themselves. And I think we really need to do that. So just make sure you check up on your family, your friends, coworkers, your neighbors. Just check them out. Just say, hey, how you doing? Just wanted to see how things were going. And I'll definitely take my own advice as well. So, anyways, just wanted to send out a message out there to say, hey, we're still here. We are surviving. We're learning a lot of things. And hopefully at some point in 2021, we can train back together, um, comfortably and confidently. I'm really hoping, the vaccine is not going to solve our problems. It's still going to be something that can spread, but we know with the vaccine that, it'll reduce any severe reactions. We still have to practice, face mask, social distancing, all that stuff. So hopefully, people get a little bit more confidence once the vaccine has been distributed, and we feel a little bit more like, that we can manage, day-to-day activity, and we'll slowly build our training back in. So I tried to do a couple of classes, with just weapons, so we have a natural physical distance. The students didn't really feel too comfortable in terms of feedback. They didn't feel comfortable with, training just yet. So we are going to start kind of slowly, step by step, getting back to regular training. Starting probably not the first quarter, maybe the second quarter, of 2021, to see if we can get, some type of training back. So, anyways, moral of the story here: um, even though we're not training together, make sure you are continuing your own personal training on your own. You know, understanding what your nutrition looks like, good healthy habits, making sure you're maintaining a physical fitness, level, some type of resistance training, some type of cardio, some type of flexibility training, and then if you can add any individual, solo martial art training, like practicing your punches, practicing your kicks, practicing your rolls, practicing your taisabaki. practicing your Aikido, whatever it is that you like to do, make sure you're doing something. And I know a lot of people see Aikido as extra, but I think if anybody is a lover of martial arts, you kind of realize like, how ingrained it is into your personality. And it's like, losing a piece of you. So we have to find a way to keep training. There's plenty of eras in time, not just in Japan, but in plenty of other countries where people were training by themselves, were training in their homes, in secret from, their authorities. There's always an avenue to find a way to train by yourself, with one or two people, whatever it is, you find a way, right? We'll find a way to survive. Martial arts has existed for a long time, and they haven't always been able to train in the open together. So hopefully there's people out there keeping the candles lit, keeping that knowledge going, and specifically keeping your own personal training going, right? It's not all a loss. We have to find a way to move forward, and we're going to find that path. So, anyways, happy holidays. Enjoy your New Year's Eve celebration. Hopefully, you are safe, and with some loved ones. That would be great. And reach out to me anytime. I love hearing from people. So more news to come. But until then, we'll see you next time.